Shalom.
Boker Tov.
Morning.
Tov.
Boker Tov. Okay. We are going to continue with Parashah Vayeishev. Okay, the final two chapters. We have been reading about Yosef, and we were talking about how Yosef is a prototype of the Mashiach, of the Messiah. We were thinking about how he was like the favorite of the father, and then he was sent to his brother, right? And his brothers rejected him. The same picture with Yeshua, and being rejected, and then he is lowered into a pit, which represents like death, okay, and then taken again, representing resurrection, and he goes to Egypt, and this trial that he is going through. In the end, we're going to see how it worked for good, and how through that he saves his family. He brings salvation for his family through that. So we're gonna continue reading with the story of Yosef. It's really awesome. So we're gonna say the blessing and we'll begin.
Baruch et Yahweh Kambora. Baruch Yahweh Kambora Leolam Baed. Baruch Ata Yahweh Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Yahweh noten haTorah. Amen.
Amen. Okay, so we read chapter 37 in the parasha, and we are supposed to pick up on chapter 38, but we still have 2 more chapters to read after that, all the way through chapter 40. So I'm thinking we're not really going to go into this one to reading it in detail. We'll just kind of summarize. So we're reading about Joseph, and then all of a sudden his story, his narrative, is kind of interrupted by the story of Judah. So Judah goes down and with a friend who is an Adulamite, and he marries this Canaanite woman whose name was Shua, and they have 3 children. They have and Onan and Shelah. Okay, so when grows up, he married Tamar. But was wicked in the eyes of Yah, and he died. Okay. It says, but Yehuda's firstborn, was evil in the eyes of Yahweh, and Yahweh took his life. So then it was the custom for the brother to marry the widowed wife if they didn't have any children, to kind of raise up a family in memory of his brother who has passed away. However, considering the way that they distributed inheritance back then, Onan does not want his brother to have descendants, to have a family, because then his inheritance would get smaller. So when his brother passed away, that means that he got more of the inheritance. But then if he has children, then it goes to his descendant, right? So he does not want Tamar to get pregnant, and this is good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Susan.
And this is evil in the eyes of Yah, and he dies also. So now Tamar has 2 husbands who have died, who have passed away, and technically the 3rd son, Shelah, is not supposed to be her husband to raise up children for his brothers who have passed away. But Judah is obviously a little bit afraid, and maybe he's thinking that it's her fault and that she's killing somehow, that because of her they're dying, his sons are dying. So he tells her, oh, wait a little bit for Shelah to grow up a little bit more, and then we'll give him to you. So he tells her to wait in her father's home. So she's waiting, and she sees that Shelah is not being given to her. Okay, and during this time, she's kind of in limbo. Like she's not really. She's a widow. She's not really married. She's living with her at her father's house. So and she has no children, which is very important for women, especially in this time of Tafar. So she decides to take matters in her own hands. She covers herself, like the custom that the prostitutes had, and she waits for Judah. And he tells her that he will give her a goat, a young goat from the flock. And then she says, okay, well, what are you going to give me as collateral until you send me that goat? And then he said, well, what collateral do you want? And she asked him for your seal, your cord, and your staff, which are in your hand. So she asked him for 3 things, and all 3 things are symbols of authority. In some translations, it says cloak, which is interesting because Joseph was giving a cloak representing his authority in the family, and then the brothers took away the coat and ripped it and dipped it in blood. So one translation says it's a cloak. It could be. All right. And so she keeps the collateral. When they come to give her the goat, they can't find her, so she keeps the collateral on purpose. Later, it is discovered that she is pregnant, and they tell Yehuda that she is pregnant and that she has basically been like a whore or something. So Yehuda says to take her out and bring her out and let her be burned. And when she does this, she sends the 3 items, and she sent them, and she said, by the man whom these belong, I am pregnant. Please examine who these are. Do you guys remember that they said the same thing to their father with Joseph's cloak when it was covered in blood, and they said, look, is this your son? Does this belong to your son? Right? And that is the same thing, the same word, actually the same word here, where she says, examine them, who these are. And then Yehuda responds by saying that she has been more righteous than I, because I did not give her to Shelah my son. Okay, so they don't become like a couple, but the 2 children result from this relationship, I guess. And they were twins, right? So I'll just read the part on verse 27. And it came to be at the time for giving birth that the twins were in her womb. And it came to be when she was giving birth that one put out his hand, and the midwife took a scarlet thread and bound it on his hand, saying, this one came out first. And it came to be as he drew back his hand that his brother came out. And she said, how did you break through? This breach be upon you. So his name was called Peret. And afterward his brother came out, who had the scarlet thread on his hand. So his name was called Zerah. I think kind of in a way also Tamar is kind of redeemed in a way, because her two of Judah's children were killed, I guess, with her. And then she had 2 children. He had 2 more children through her. So kind of like replacing the 2 wicked children. Obviously, a person cannot be replaced, but in a way, she kind of gets rid of any stigma that she might have had of being a husband killer. Okay, so We're not really sure why the story of Judah interrupts the story of Joseph. I don't know if it's because he withheld a son from his father, so now he has his sons withheld from him, or if there was another reason for it. We're not really sure. But that is chapter 38. So we're going to move on to chapter. Do you have a comment?
No.
Chapter 38? Okay. We're going to move on to chapter 39. I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and then we will read it. So we're going to be in Beresheet, chapter 39. Okay, chapter 39. And we're going to read verses 1 and 2. And Joseph had been taken down to Mizraim, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, a Mitzrite, bought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him down there. And it came to be that Yahweh was with Joseph, and he became a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master, the Mitzrite. So we can hear it now in Hebrew.
ויוסף הורד מצרימה. ויקנהו פוטיפר סריס פרעה שר הטבחים, איש מצרי, מיד הישמעאלים, אשר הורידוהו שמה. ויהי אדוני את יוסף, ויהי איש מצליח, ויהי בבית אדוניו המצרי.
So it says that Yahweh was with Joseph. So he is with him and blessing him, and we're going to see how he always manages to come out on top in every situation. So he had.
No, and we were saying that his name means increase or prosperity. And in this case, it says that he prospered with this man.
So verse 3 and 4, and his master saw that Yahweh was with him, and that Yahweh made all he did to prosper in his hand. So Joseph found favor in his eyes and served him, and he appointed him over his house, and he gave into his hand all that he had. We're going to hear verse 3 and 4.
וירא אדוניו כי אדוני איתו, וכל אשר הוא עושה אדוני מצליח בידו. וימצא יוסף חן בעיניו, וישרת אותו, ויפקידהו על ביתו, וכל ישלו נתן בידו.
So again, that word, hen, that he found favor. And also he said that he saw, his master saw that Yahweh was with him. And the comment said that means that Joseph frequently mentioned Yahweh. So he's always giving credit to Yahweh and mentioning him in his daily talk.
And that's also for us, right? Every accomplishment, everything we do, we should give the honor to Yahweh.
Verse 5 and 6, and it came to be from the time that he had appointed him over his house and all that he had, that Yahweh blessed the Mitzrite's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of Yahweh was on all that he had in the house and in the field. And he left in Joseph's hand all that he had, and he did not know what he had except for the bread which he ate, and Joseph was handsome in form and appearance. We're going to hear that part in the Hebrew. And then the Hebrew for hand is yad. And so you want to listen for that one. Mitzrite is obviously Egyptian. Let's go ahead and hear that.
ויהי מאז הפקיד אותו בביתו ועל כל אשר ישלו, ויברך אדוני את בית המצרי בגלל יוסף. ויהי ברכת אדוני בכל אשר יש לו בבית ובשדה. ויעזוב כל אשר לו ביד יוסף, ולא ידע איתו מאומה, כי אם הלחם אשר הוא אוכל. ויהי יוסף יפה תואר ויפה מראה.
Okay. And okay, and let's hear. All right, that was the end of 6. Yeah, okay. So then we're going to hear verse 7. After these events, it came to be that his master's wife lifted up her eyes to Joseph and said, "Lie with me." Let's hear verse 7.
ויהי אחר הדברים האלה, ותישא אשת אדוניו את עיניה אל יוסף, ותאמר, שכבה עמי.
And then 8 through 10. So his wife is attracted to Joseph, but he refused and said to his master's wife, "Look, my master does not know what is with me in the house, and he has given into my hand all that he has. No one is greater in this house than I, and he has not withheld whatever from me, but you, because you are his wife. And how shall I do this great evil and sin against Elohim?" And it came to be as she spoke to Joseph day by day that he did not listen to her, to lie with her, to be with her. Joseph is given great responsibility in the house. He's in charge of everything, and everything is being blessed because of him. And now he faces this temptation from Pharaoh's wife, or Potiphar's wife. So that was 8 through 10.
I wish all the men will think like Joseph. I will do this evil. How can I do this evil in the sight of Yahweh, right? Elohim.
וימאן, ויאמר אל אשת אדוניו, אין אדוני לא ידע איתי מה בבית, בכל אשר יש לו נתן בידי. איננו גדול בבית הזה ממני, ולא חסך ממני מאומה, אם אותך, באשר את אשתו. ואיך אעשה הרעה הגדולה הזאת, וחטאתי לאלוהים. ויהי כדברך אל יוסף יום יום, ולא שמע אליה לשכב אצלך להיות עמה.
And Yom is day. So day by day, Yom Yom.
Yom yom.
Okay, so we're going to hear 11 and 12. And it came to be on a certain day when Joseph went into the house to do his work, and none of the men of the house was inside, that she caught him by his garment, saying, "Lie with me." But he left his garment in her hand and fled and ran outside.
ויהי כהיום הזה, ויבוא הביתה לעשות מלאכתו, ואין איש מאנשי הבית שם בבית. ותתפסהו בבגדו לאמור, שכבה עמי. ויעזוב בגדו בידך, וינוס ויצא החוצה, ויהי כראותך, כי עזב בגדו.
Going into 13, sorry. Okay. So he is like in the middle of a really bad situation, and all he can do is just like run away, and he leaves his garment in her hand. So 13 through 15, the three together. And it came to be when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and fled outside, that she called to the men of her house and spoke to them, saying, "See, he hath brought to us a Hebrew to mock us." So referring to her husband, he brought a Hebrew slave to mock us. He came in to me to lie with me, and I cried out with a loud voice. And it came to be when he heard that I lifted my voice and cried out, that he left his garment with me and fled and went outside. Let's go ahead and hear that in the Hebrew, 13 through 15.
ויהי כראותך, כי עזב בגדו בידך, וינוס החוצה, ותקרא לאנשי ביתך, ותאמר להם לאמור, ראו, הביא לנו איש עברי לשחק בנו, בא אלי לשכב עמי, ואקרא בקול גדול, ויהי כשומעו כי הרימותי קולי ואקרא, ויעזוב בגדו אצלי וינוס ויצא החוצה.
Okay, believe it or not, that was Hebrew when it slowed down. He actually said it faster in the original recording. So a little bit fast, but still interesting. We're going to read 16 through 18. So 39, 16 through 18. So he flees outside, and she kept his garment with her until his master came home. And she spoke to him these same words, saying, "The Hebrew servant whom you brought to us came into me to mock me. And so it came to be, as I lifted my voice and cried out, that he left his garment with me and fled outside." So 16 through 18. Let's go ahead and hear it in the Hebrew.
ותנח בגדו אצלה עד בוא אדוניו אל ביתו. ותדבר אליו כדברים האלה לאמור, בא אלי העבד העברי אשר הבאת לנו לשחק בי. ויהי כהרימי קולי ואקרא, ויעזוב בגדו אצלי וינוס החוצה.
Okay. And 19 through 20. And it came to be when his master heard the word which his wife spoke to him, saying, "Your servant did to me according to these words," that his displeasure burned. Then Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the sovereign prisoners were confined, and he was there in the prison. Okay. So now Joseph faces another test, being put into prison by Potiphar. That was 19 through 20.
What's the word? Yanas? Wayanas?
Vayana.
Wayanas?
Fled.
Fled.
Okay. 19 through 20.
וישמוע אדוניו את דברי אשתו אשר דיברה אליו לאמור, כדברים האלה עשה לי עבדך, וייחר אפו. ויקח אדוני יוסף אותו, ויתנהו אל בית הסוהר, מקום אשר אסירי המלך אסורים, ויהי שם בבית הסוהר.
19 through 20. And now 21 through 22. But Yahweh was with Joseph. So in prison, Yahweh was with Joseph and extended kindness to him. And he gave him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. And the prison warden gave into the hand of Joseph all the prisoners who were in the prison, and whatever was done there was his doing. So again, Joseph finds favor everywhere he goes. Let's hear that one in Hebrew 21 and 22.
ויהי אדוני את יוסף, ויית אליו חסד, ויתן חינו בעיני שר בית הסוהר. ויתן שר בית הסוהר ביד יוסף את כל האסירים אשר בבית הסוהר, ואת כל אשר עושים שם הוא היה עושה.
Okay. And then the part where Yahweh shows him mercy, right? He shows him mercy, chesed. Okay. And the final verse, 23. The prison warden did not look into any point that was under Joseph's hand, because Yahweh was with him, and whatever he did, Yahweh made it prosper.
אין שר בית הסוהר רואה את כל מאומה בידו, באשר אדוני איתו, באשר הוא עושה, אדוני מצליח.
Okay. So again, like the major lesson to learn here is how Joseph always kept a positive outlook. Even when he was a servant in Egypt, he had a positive outlook. And even when he is a prisoner, he still rises and becomes a leader, even within the prison. So he becomes a leader in every situation. He trusting that even in difficult situations, Yahweh is still with him. And I think he's holding on to the dream that he had, the promises that Yahweh gave him. I think he's holding on to that and believing that it's going to come to pass one way or another. Are there any other comments on this chapter?
Just in the verses before where it's speaking about the woman, how she's practically chasing him. And in this case, you know, we need to be gentle as a dove, but wise as a serpent. He should have always come with a servant, you know, not alone into the house. So to prevent, you know, what happened.
Oh yeah, that reminds me of a comment that I read. So they were saying, why wasn't anybody in the house? And they said that it was like a special holiday, a special religious holiday for them. So obviously Joseph's not going to go, but everybody else went to their places of their temples or whatever. And Potiphar's wife said, oh, I don't feel well. She was plotting this basically. And so that she didn't feel well so she could stay home, thinking that Joseph would stay too. All right. So, we can continue to chapter 40. It's the final chapter in this parasha. All right. Let's go to chapter 40. Let me just get the correct audio. Go. Okay, 1 second. Let me get the right audio.
פרק מ'
All right. There we go. Chapter 40, verses 1 through 2. And after these events, so after Joseph is in the prison, right, and he is now in charge, after these events, it came to be that the cupbearer and the baker of the sovereign of Mitzrayim sinned against their master, the sovereign of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh was wroth with his two officers, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker. Go ahead and hear that in the Hebrew.
ויהי אחר הדברים האלה, חטאו משקה מלך מצרים והאופה לאדוניהם למלך מצרים. ויקצוף פרעה על שני סריסיו, על שר המשקים ועל שר האופים.
Okay. Verses 3 and 4. So he put them in confinement in the house of the captain of the guard, in the prison, the place where Joseph was a prisoner. And the captain of the guard put Joseph in charge of them, and he served them. So they were in confinement for some time. 3 and 4.
ויתן אותם במשמר בית שר הטבחים אל בית הסוהר, מקום אשר יוסף אסור שם. ויפקוד שר הטבחים את יוסף איתם, וישרת אותם, ויהיו ימים במשמר.
Okay. And 5 and 6. Then the cupbearer and the baker of the sovereign of Mitzrayim, who were confined in the prison, dreamed a dream, both of them, each man's dream in one night, and each man's dream with its own interpretation. And Joseph came in to them in the morning, and looked at them, and saw that they were sad. I've always thought that verse is very interesting, that he cares about how these prisoners feel, and he noticed that they were sad, and of course they're sad, they're in prison, but obviously there's a different kind of sad. So that just shows like how he had a lot of discernment, I think, that he was able to see that something was different. They were sad. Very interesting.
ויחלמו חלום שניהם איש חלומו בלילה אחד, איש כפתרון חלומו, המשקה והאופה אשר למלך מצרים, אשר אסורים בבית הסוהר. ויבוא עליהם יוסף בבוקר, וירא אותם והנם זועפים.
Okay.
So Sohar is prison?
Dungeon. Yeah.
Dungeon. Uy.
Prison. Yeah, prison. Okay. So 7 and 8. Okay, so he noticed them they're sad, and he asked Pharaoh's officers who were with him in confinement of his master's house, saying, "Why do you look so sad today?" And they said to him, "We have each dreamed a dream, and there is no one to interpret it." And Joseph said to them, "Do not interpretations belong to Elohim? Relate them to me, please." So he asked them, "Tell me what you guys dreamed." So 7 and 8, we're going to hear it in Hebrew.
וישאל את סריסי פרעה אשר איתו במשמר בית אדוניו לאמור, מדוע פניכם רעים היום? ויאמרו אליו, חלום חלמנו ופותר אין אותו. ויאמר עליהם יוסף, הלא לאלוהים פתרונים, ספרו נא לי.
You have to remember the word halom for a dream from Monday. So 9 through 11. So the chief cupbearer related his dream to Joseph and said to him, "See, in my dream a vine was before me, and in the vine were 3 branches, and it was as though it budded, its blossoms shot forth, and its clusters brought forth grapes. And Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, so I took the grapes and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup, and placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand." Okay, so that was 9 through 11. We're going to hear the Hebrew.
ויספר שר המשקים את חלומו ליוסף, ויאמר לו, בחלומי, והנה גפן לפניי, ובגפן 3 שריגים, והיא כפורחת עלתה נצח, הבשילו אשכלותיה ענבים, וחוס פרעה בידי, ואקח את הענבים, ואשחט אותם אל כוס פרעה, ואתן את הכוס על כף פרעה.
Okay, so kos is the cup.
Geffen.
Cup. And then, yes, geffen, like when we say it's the vine, when we say the blessing for the fruit of the vine, 43 hagafen. All right. Continuing on. So now Joseph is going to interpret this dream with the vine and the grape, verse 12 and 13. 40, 12, and 13. And Joseph said to him, "This is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. Yet within 3 days, Pharaoh is going to lift up your head and restore you to your place. And you shall put Pharaoh's cup in his hand, according to the former ruling, when you were his cupbearer." That was 13. Let's hear the Hebrew. 12 and 13.
ויאמר לו יוסף, זה פתרונו. 3 השריגים, 3 ימים הם. בעוד 3 ימים יישא פרעה את ראשך, והשיבך על קניך, ונתת כוס פרעה בידו כמשפט הראשון אשר היית משקהו.
All right, so 14 through 15. So he's telling him that he's going to put the cup in Pharaoh's hand. And he tells him in verse 14, "But remember me when it is well with you. Please show kindness to me and mention me to Pharaoh and get me out of this house. For truly I was stolen away from the land of the Hebrews, and also I have done naught that they should put me into the dungeon." So he's telling him, you're going to go to Pharaoh, please remember me. Let's hear 14 through 15 in the Hebrew.
כי אם זכרתני איתך כאשר ייטב לך, ועשית נע עמדי חסד, והזכרתני אל פרעה, והוצאתני מן הבית הזה. כי גונבתי מארץ העברים, וגם פה לא עשיתי מאומה, כי שמו אותי בבור.
16 through 17. And the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, and he said to Joseph, I also was in my dream, and saw 3 white baskets were on my head, and in the uppermost basket all kinds of baked goods for Pharaoh, and in the uppermost basket all kinds of baked goods for Pharaoh, and the birds ate them out of the basket on my head. So the baker thinks that he gets a good interpretation, the cupbearer. So he says, I had a dream too. So verse 16 and 17 in the Hebrew.
ויסר האופים כי טוב פתר, ויאמר אל יוסף, אף אני בחלומי, והנה 3 סלי חורי על ראשי, ובסל העליון מכל מאכל פרעה מעשה עושה, והעוף אוכל אותם מן הסל מעל ראשי.
And 18 through 19. And Joseph answered and said, this isn't the interpretation of it. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Yet within 3 days, Pharaoh is going to lift off your head from you and hang you on a tree, and the birds shall eat your flesh from you. He gets a very bad message from this. Let's hear 18 and 19 in the Hebrew.
ויען יוסף ויאמר, זה פתרונו. 3 הסלים, 3 ימים הם. בעוד 3 ימים יישא פרעה את ראשך מעליך, ותלה אותך על עץ, ואכל העוף את בשרך מעליך.
And you keep hearing shloshet, that's 3. Okay. So 20 through 22. And on the 3rd day, Pharaoh's birthday, it came to be that he made a feast for all his servants. And he lifted up the head of the chief cupbearer and of the chief baker among his servants. And he restored the chief cupbearer to his post of cupbearer again, and he placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker, as Joseph had interpreted to them. So it comes to be as he said, good for the cupbearer and bad for the baker. So we're going to hear 20 and 22 in Hebrew.
ויהי ביום השלישי, יום הולדת את פרעה, ויעש משתה לכל עבדיו, ויישא את ראש שר המשקים ואת ראש שר העובדים בתוך עבדיו, וישב את שר המשקים על משקהו, ויתן הכוס על כף פרעה, ואת שר העובדים תלה, כאשר פתר להם יוסף.
And the final verse of the chapter and of the Parshah portion. Verse 23. And the chief cupbearer did not remember Joseph, but forgot him. And in the Hebrew.
ולא זכר שר המשקים את יוסף, וישכחהו.
Okay. So he forgets that Joseph wanted him to remember him when he went to Pharaoh. So that concludes the Torah portion. through Beresheet. We're going to continue on Monday. We will continue with Joseph, and now it is Pharaoh who has dreams that tell about
That
Egypt.
tells me that everything is beautiful in its time. They forgot him on purpose because Yahweh is accommodating the times and the events to fit in the right timing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not, things do not happen in our timing, but in his timing, they're beautiful.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things from the very beginning of the story of Yosef, that you can see that everything is being accommodated to bring about Yahweh's plan, right? Because he told Abraham that they would go down to Egypt, and so he's setting everything in motion. And from the very beginning, like Jacob knew that Joseph didn't get along with his brother, right? So why send him with his brother, right? And the other thing is Reuben knew that the brothers wanted to kill him, right? So why did Reuben leave? You know, and so a lot of things that like people weren't exactly doing what you would think they would normally do, and it's because Yahweh was bringing about his plan, I think, in the very beginning. So we read about, or we summarized the story of Judah and Tamar, and then we read about Joseph becoming great in Pharaoh's and Potiphar's house, and the problem with Potiphar's wife. And then we read about him in prison and how he helped the cupbearer and the baker, or at least interpret the dream for them. So, and then we're going to continue with him with Pharaoh. So I don't know if there's any other comments.
No.
Okay, so we'll continue on Monday. Let's say the blessing to close the Torah portion.
Baruch atah Yahweh, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan לנו Torah emet, וחיי עולם נתן בתוכנו. Baruch atah Yahweh, noten haTorah. Amen. Shalom, shalom. Have a blessed day and be the salt of this earth and the light, the ore in this planet. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.